Thanks a lot for the warm introduction, and happy to be talking here, guys. Thanks a lot for the awesome turnout, really. And yeah, without further ado, what I wanted to tell you guys is exactly what Pavel was talking about. Is a story basically of how we scaled our product and engineering organization in 15 minutes. And firstly, what obviously makes sense to talk about is what Personio is about, right? So at Personio, we're building a scalable, powerful and adaptable HR platform for small and medium-sized enterprises. So it's companies from the size from around 10 to 1,000 employees. And this platform basically is encompassing the full employee lifecycle, which you see on the left side, right? So it's everything starting from recruitment functionality going into management, payments, and development, right? So overall, our mission is to improve business performance by driving excellence in people operations and strategy. And we have an ambition to really build a category-leading European startup, so European HR platform, right? And in a couple of years, we aim to have quite a lot of people on our platform, 1.5 million, and make them happy employees at their companies. So why do we need this large organization that I'm talking about, right? So overall, I think we have, as Pavel said, a pretty seemingly boring but a unique challenge, which is basically building an all-in-one HR system, right? So you see already on the circle, there is quite a lot of functionality that we covered, right? And basically, this all-in-one approach results in a pretty kind of complex and large product surface, right? So all of those individual pieces and circles that you see are can be reasoned about as separate products, right? And obviously, that creates a very kind of complex and unique domain, which I think is full of awesome, like crown jewel engineering challenges that I'm also happy to be working together with the guys to resolve, right? And speaking about our journey, how did we fare in building this organization, right? So we started back in 2015 as a team of 4 founders. We had one pretty large pilot customer with whom we built out the initial product. And we started with a pretty large monolithic application, right, which I'll touch in a second. And what we ended up building, so in 6 years, we grew to a 600 people organization, around 160 people product and engineering organization. There is currently around 3,000 customers, so companies which use our product on the daily basis. We scaled from one small team in Munich to 3 like engineering locations, 3 major hubs. And with all the scale, we also obviously needed to grow out of the monolithic system and build out like a truly distributed system, right? So obviously the principles that worked back in 2015 don't work in 2021, and there's a couple of guiding things that kind of let us scale the org to the size for which we're in now, right? And I think the most kind of important guiding principle for us, especially in product engineering teams, is building based on the notion of autonomous and mission-based teams, right? Which are kind of fully empowered to really own the domain in which they operate, right? And those mission-based teams, they are organized around this product, around the product verticals of the employee lifecycle that you've seen in the previous slides, right? So what did we end up with as an organization, right? Which I think would be interesting for some of you if you're planning also to join, right? So pretty fairly on, we started with 2 larger domains, which was HRM and recruiting, right? And then fairly quickly, we wanted to kind of close in the circle, right? Basically adding product teams according to the needs of the business that were arising, right? At a certain point, also the mission of some teams, right? So here, for instance, recruiting, HR management, payroll, it grew out from the scope of one team, and then we ended up having kind of this teams of teams, so to say, right? So this clusters of tribes. If you're familiar with Spotify model, for instance, right? This is something that they have also experienced in the past, right? So then also fairly early on, we started to invest into our technology platform, which started with our infrastructure engineering teams or SRE teams, and fairly quickly basically growing also specialization, adding also developer experience team, which work on our internal development platform, making sure also that the teams which are responsible for security engineering, quality assurance engineering are also being stood up. Another interesting development that we have experienced over the course of the last years is that despite this mission-driven teams and organization overall being very effective at producing great quality software products, the cross-cutting concerns sometimes that needed to be met at cross-cutting projects are became harder and harder to own and manage, right? And so that resulted into us investing into a set of product platform teams or product platform tribes, which at the moment comprise several, and they're responsible for managing these cross-cutting concerns, right? So identity and access management, things like access rights, exposing them both to the users, but also to our product teams to make sure that they make use of great security primitives within their products, right? Tasks and workflows, since every team needs to manage HR workflows, right? We needed to invest into a team like that. Reporting analytics, where all of the data from all of these domains is kind of flowing in, and where we're able to kind of denormalize it and build out reports in data structures which are actually much more queryable. And also, what's interesting, we invested into platform UI team, which is managing our design and component system, which also, again, all the other teams are using in their on the day-to-day basis. Right, so that's the kind of work basically which we resulted in, and we're aiming to also grow it even further. Now, speaking about technology, as I already mentioned, back in 2015, we started with Monolith, which was not as beautiful and shiny as this Utah slab, basically, but it was, I think as Francesca said also in the beginning, right, it was the right choice back then for us, because this is what enabled us to move extremely fast also, right? And since the domain for the four of us, none of us was an HR expert, was rather new and complex, that enabled us to fairly quickly kind of master it and fairly quickly also onboard the new engineers which are coming, because one of the main advantages of having a monolithic system in the beginning, right, is the speed with which you can actually transfer knowledge and onboard new people in, right? However, not surprisingly, the scalability from the both engineering perspective and also from purely kind of non-functional perspective also started to slow down significantly throughout the course of the years since we've been developing Personio. And particular pain points that we have experienced, obviously, with this architecture is things like deployment speed, right? So you cannot really kind of deploy and as parallelly as possible as you can do in microservice architecture, for instance, and so on, right? And also, in addition to this, we needed to re-platform, basically. The monolith was initially written in PHP, and we wanted to select something that actually scales much better and adapts much better to the organizational size that we wanted to actually get to in order to create the speed and agility which we actually wanted to, right? So basically, we wanted to re-platform into a distributed system. And for this, we started to work kind of on this target architecture, right? And we wanted to preserve some of the principles, which is structuring our domain and our code base based on those product verticals that you have seen on the previous slides, right? However, besides kind of the functional separation of the product verticals, there's obviously some commonalities which we have, which is the clients that our customers use primarily, the primary one being the web client, right? We also have a small mobile application, and we're continuing to invest more and more into the APIs, right? And those clients basically talk with the set of the backend services over an API gateway, right, of a set of the application services. As I already mentioned, all of them are kind of structured around these product verticals that you guys have seen in the previous slides, right? And in the web system, we have the component system, which kind of powers basically the whole web application and creates a consistent user experience across all of those product verticals. Our infrastructure, in the beginning, we started with the non-managed infrastructure over the years. In 2018, we migrated to AWS, and the infrastructure engineering teams and the technology platform teams are kind of managing this cross-cutting components, which are in the present kind of on all of the services such as logging, data storage, and so on. And also on the product platform side of things, right, there's also kind of the backend platform components that need to be managed, such as components focused around authentication, authorization, notifications, and so on, right? There's the certain core data concerns that need to be also managed centrally. As you can imagine, for instance, in the HR domain, notions such as employment and company are overall present and need to be queried by almost all of the verticals. So they also need to be kind of put in a central, processed in a central manner, right? And in addition, also there is a workflow engine and reporting engine which power like both the cross-cutting workflows and making sure that those are managed kind of in a reliable way. A reporting engine, which I already mentioned also in the past, which is responsible in the end for producing high-quality reports for all the stakeholders in the customer companies that we have. So now, like shortly touching also which kind of technologies do we actually use right now in order to get to this architecture, right? So web and mobile, we build them using the React. So on mobile, obviously it's React Native, right? So we use TypeScript in order to kind of write out our workflows there, and Redux to manage the data flows. On the web, we also selected, due to this replication kind of move, we selected the micro frontend pattern in order to migrate the monolithic structure that we had before into something that scales better. right? On the microservice side, we decided for the platform of using Kotlin and Spring Boot for the majority of our workflows. We have a kind of a sprinkle of Go for the services which are not necessarily at the core of the domain, right? Also, all of the microservices we package basically in Docker containers. Recently, also, we started to invest into gRPC, which will be kind of taking over as the main communication protocol between the services. And the services kind of mostly manage the data using RDS. So we use Postgres at the moment and the S3 in order to store the data. Now, obviously, the synchronous communication the gRPC offers also is enriched with the message bus. So we use basically currently a pops-up pattern with an SNS SQS. And all of that is built on top of obviously AWS, right? So we automate the whole infrastructure with Terraform, both of our infrastructure workflows and also the application workflows we deploy via GitLab, and we use Kubernetes kind of as our main platform or container orchestration platform on which we run all our workflows. So last but not least, I also want to talk a little bit about the future plans. So as you have seen also from the organizational structure, there's overall a lot of things that we are aiming to do, right? So building this HR platform and being a European category leader. And I think one of the ones that we are very also excited about, and I think it's also an awesome opportunity from engineering perspective, is building a truly integrated platform. So there's a big also business opportunity behind this. As you can imagine, we are kind of as a platform also, we are in a condition to kind of connect a lot of different business tools and really kind of manage them also centrally, right? So as you can imagine, even connecting with Slack, right, and requesting your absences over Slack, for instance, right, is one of the examples here. And overall, kind of building this ecosystem of integrated tools is something that we are overall excited about. So based on this and other opportunities also, which you've seen also previously, we've raised recently our 125 million Series D round, which kind of brought us into this freshly baked unicorn club, which I think is not a purpose by itself, but I think it just shows kind of how much of a great opportunity we have in order to really build out this exciting platform. And also we're investing this money in order to build actually the further build out the product and further build out the engineering teams. So last year also 2x approximately, despite the corona times. This year we're also planning to 2x our product and engineering work, and we are looking for engineers of all kinds of specialties and focal points to join us, right? If you're excited to build this UX experiences for the users, right, joining the product vertical tribes. If you're excited about architecture, you can join our product platforms tribe and build out kind of the scalable components. You can also join our technology platform tribe, so to really build out the developer experience platform, to build out the kind of the great infrastructure automation primitives that power the whole org. And yeah, there is a lot of exciting things. So yeah, please join us on our journey, right? So excited to talk to you guys. If you ask any questions, I don't have any more time probably left anymore, but yeah, thanks everyone for your attention, and feel free to reach out to me on Open. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Arseniy. I think it's only fair to say that Personio is growing as fast as you speak. So I think you're reaching the sound barrier with that. But
I hope that.
I must say, it was pretty cool to listen to that, and obviously, I'm sure you could speak a bit longer. We have a couple of questions. Bishwa is asking, as the team grows and with different tech stack, how is the experience to keep engineering standards same across the tribe's teams, which I think is something that is a challenge for a lot of companies.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's also a challenge for us. So we use several kind of ways to keep the stack consistent, right? So we use backend market architecture guilds, front-end market architecture guilds, and also the DevOps guilds in order to kind of cross-cut across different teams and create this alignment. Also, there is a pretty advanced RFC, or request for comments process, right? Which basically where every engineer can kind of propose various changes and also get buy-in and comments from the whole org. And there is also additional kind of committees and entities that we're rolling out, which are there to kind of, not to kind of say no, but basically empower and to create the standards across the teams.
Yeah, great. There's also one more question from Francesco, but we're not going to have time for that just now because we need to make the space for another speaker. But if you could click the stage tab, Francesco asked a question about tech stack, and if you would make the same decisions again, so we'll respond to him on chat or via video. So thanks a lot, Arseniy. That was really exciting.
Thank you, guys.